Okay, that is our hour up, can you believe? I hope that I've managed to put something in there for everybody, and I am happy to answer some questions at the end. So if you want to pop your questions on now, I'm very happy to answer those. But just to talk about the next steps before you leave this evening, I'm going to put the replay of this video online tomorrow, first thing tomorrow morning before I go into the office. We will send you out an automated email in 24 hours time, and you will then get access to the slides. Somebody asked me to put them in PDF format. I'll put them in PDF format for you. And you will also get the replay of this video, so you can watch it again, stop and start it, and do it in your own time. Now, the link that we're going to send you is the link that you can see on my screen right now, cumbriagrowthhub.co.uk/webinars/Facebook. Now, at the moment, you'll see there are just little gaps for the slides and the video. It will be there within 24 hours because I've got to process it, obviously. We haven't even finished the recording yet. So I will get that done within 24 hours. Keep checking that page. It will probably be there, frankly, by about 11 o'clock tomorrow, but you will get an automated email tomorrow saying thanks for attending, and you'll get the link again. If you'd like to sign up for next week's webinar, which we'll be doing the same again with Twitter, then you can do so via this link. I'm running another 3 webinars. We're doing Twitter, we're doing email marketing, and we're doing WordPress. These are all things that I teach for the Chamber, so if you ever see one of my courses for the Chamber of Commerce, sign up and you'll be able to immerse yourself in all of this for a day. Clearly we've only got limited time with an hour, but I'll make that time as useful as I can for you. But if you'd like to go to that link now, you can sign up straight away for all the other webinars. Do it now while you remember, and then you'll get all the automated reminders to make sure you don't miss it, and it's all done. 3 webinars, all for free, courtesy of Cumbria Chamber of Commerce. And then just one last thing that I want to mention to you. If you are thinking of using Facebook to sell goods or services outside the UK, you are engaged in what is called e-exporting. You're exporting, even though you're doing it online, and we can help you with that. So if you'd like to speak to Catherine Dunson, Catherine's name is on the screen there, about exporting or e-exporting support, we can help with that. There's the telephone number on the page there, 0844 257 8450, or just email Catherine direct at catherine@cumbriachamber.co.uk. Fabulous. I'm just going to leave the last slide on there so that you can access the resources. And I'm very happy. That is the end of the teaching presentation. We've just hit our hour, virtually dead on. And if you've got some questions for me, I'm very happy to hang around a little bit now and to answer those questions for you. So let me just go through the questions now. And if you need to go, that's fine. But if you've got some specific questions for me, I'm very happy to answer them now. So let me just wade through these, and I will go through the questions. Actually, what I will do is I'll pop my webcam on so that you can see me. And you'll see me leaning over the side here, actually, because I'm looking at the questions. They're on my second screen. So let's have a look. Now, Mick's saying, will you help with adding a live feed to a website? Now, I think what you mean by that, Mick, let me just, excuse me if I take the slides away. I think what you mean by that, if you'll just excuse me, because I'm going to have to go to my site here. I think we've got it on this site. So it's not on that site, it'll be on the blog site. Let me just go to one of my sites, and I think I know what you mean. I think you mean this when it pops up. I think you mean putting a feed on a site. Where is it? I'm sure it's there somewhere. Yeah, I think you mean this. If you're still on, Mick, it's Mick, wasn't it? Yeah. If you're still on, I think you mean that, don't you? About putting a feed on that there. I think that's what you mean. If you're on, Mick, can you just let me know if that's right? Yes, it is. Okay, Mick. That is, I'm afraid, slightly technical. Are you on WordPress, or are you on some other site? Because Facebook don't make this the easiest thing on earth. But I will. I can't really show you how to do it right now. I will show you how to find out how to do it. So you're adding a Twitter feed to a B&B. Right, Twitter's easy. Actually, Twitter is easy. Chrissy, Twitter I'll do next week. But Mick is using WordPress. Yeah, you can. What I would recommend you do, Mick, it's a little bit techie. I'll show you 2 ways of doing this. If the easiest thing to do is go to WordPress plugin, Facebook. I'm not going to be able to do a demonstration for you now, but I can show you, I can do a bit of self-service. You can either go, if you just look for Facebook WordPress plugins, you'll see lots of plugins here that just allow you to do this really easily. And what I recommend you do is you experiment. Actually, Facebook has its own plugin. You can get there's an official Facebook plugin. But actually, dare I say it, some of the ones that people give you are a lot easier some of the time. So just look for Facebook WordPress plugin, and you will find plugins that you can add to WordPress. Now, I'm doing WordPress in 3 weeks' time, and I will show you how to add plugins if you don't know how to do that. So make sure you sign up now via the Growth Hub page /webinars, and I'll show you how to do plugins then. But that's one way of doing it. The other way of doing it is if you do a Google search for Facebook widgets, I think we'll bring it up, Facebook widgets. Yeah, social plugins. Facebook calls them social plugins, but I'll be honest with you, they have made this a little bit complicated, a little bit more complicated than I would like. But this is where you can get the code to create those plugins. So if you want to put embedded posts or a page plugin, this is where you would get that. And effectively, what happens here, you can see that's what you're after. You're after that, and they give you the code to do that. Bit of ready-made code, and let me just give you a top tip for that. Use the iframe option. I don't want to get too geeky on this presentation, but use the iframe option, because that's just cut and paste, and you can put that on your website, and that should just bring the Facebook feed into your website. So do a Google search for Facebook social plugins. When you're logged into Facebook, it will bring your page in, as you can see mine has here, and then when it says get code, click the get code button. For goodness sake, don't use the JavaScript SDK. You'll be there all year working that out. Go for the iframe, because the iframe is just a little bit of cut and paste code. Just drop that into your website, and that will work. Okay, sorry if that was a little bit geeky for some of you. Let me just go through the questions. That's as much detail really as I can go to in this presentation, Mick, but hopefully that helps. Annie, pages versus groups for business. Annie, the problem with with groups, I beg your pardon, the problem with groups, and I wish actually Facebook can't solve this, but I wish they would find a clever way around it. The problem with groups is that people have to connect with you via their personal profile. So you have to friend them a lot of time when you don't really want to friend them if it's for business use. So if it was a very small intimate group, say it was the church group, people that you know personally and you're happy to connect to on your profile, well, that's fine. But if it's like an international audience, really it creates problems. You don't really want people to have to connect to you, to friend you, to get into a group. So groups are wonderful things on Facebook. They're beautiful if you're in them. They work beautifully. But if you don't want to connect with people personally, if you want to completely disconnect business and pleasure, then I'm afraid a business page is the best one to use, even though I love groups and I'm a member of many. Can we do edits from a laptop computer? My mobile doesn't see. Yeah, Margaret's saying, can we do these things on a mobile? The thing about trying to change settings on a mobile, Margaret, is that you will find that you're on a different menu. I mean, you're on a website that has to fit onto something like that. That's the problem with it. So you're looking at a different site effectively when you look on a mobile phone. It's a different site because it's mobile optimized. So the menus are very different. So my recommendation would be, when you're doing settings on your Facebook page, go onto a laptop or a computer. Then you're going to see the full web version of Facebook, not the squashed mobile version. It's always best when you're dealing with settings. That's true across the board with any social media, by the way. Always go on a laptop or a computer to do the settings, because you'll always find you're locked out on a mobile device. It doesn't give you full menu settings. Hopefully that answers your question. Let's have a look. Yeah, Facebook groups, Colin, they're a different thing, Facebook groups. So Facebook groups, it's early days. This is the first time the Chamber of Commerce has run webinars like this. If I find that we've got a big appetite and the feedback's good, maybe we can do them more regularly, and I can go into and do a whole session on Facebook groups, how to set them up and how to run them. But clearly this is a very mixed session today, just trying to get lots of information out and try and be useful to everybody. But if there's the appetite for it, then I would certainly consider doing an hour-long webinar just on groups if there was an appetite. Okay, so groups. Emma, you're asking for the link to go back up. Is that so to sign up for the webinars? I'll tell you, is that for the webinars? Just let me know, Emma, if that's what that is. You've got it, thank you. Now, can you create a business page that an audience can like but can't comment on? Yes, you can. And I'm going to have to delve a little bit into the settings, I'm afraid, just to remind myself how you do it. It's in here somewhere. Where is it? It's in the settings. You can certainly. Where is this? I'm trying to work out where it is. They changed this. You can age restrict, obviously there. You can country restrict if you're a UK only business. You can block. You can have a profanity filter on there if you want to as well, and you can then you can stop, swear words going on as well. Let me just remember where it is off the top of my head. It's not messaging. They change this. They change this every time. I'll tell you what I might do with that. Rather than just dither with this, I'll just make a note, Karen. And you've got my email address. Can you just send me an email at the chamber, and I will get back to you with a proper response to that. It's in there somewhere, but they change the menu so often. I'll just need to check that. But yes, you can. Just effectively, what you want is people to just look at your content and have restrictions on it. You can't the comments you will find that you can't restrict. Sorry, you can't restrict sort of people liking and sharing and things like that, but you can tie down certain settings. The other thing is you can block individual people. That's the other thing that you can do. So if you've got somebody who's commenting and you don't want them to do so, but if you think about it, the whole purpose of Facebook, if people don't like, comment and share on Facebook, there's not a lot of point you being there. So the comment you can't do, but you can block individuals on it, and you can sort of tie down profanity. You can limit age and things like that. So that's kind of a half answer to your question. But no, you can't stop people commenting. Only individuals you can block. Okay, Chrissy, did you find the link to the webinars? Chrissy Holsall is saying, where's the link? The link, Chrissy, I'll just show you the slides again, is that's the link. cumbriagrowthhub.co.uk/webinars. What else have we got here? Oh, good. Lorna is going to look at the e-exporting. If you want to look at the e-exporting, if you're doing anything abroad at all, talk to Catherine, because we can help with that. And as you know, most of this support is free. Instagram and Pinterest now, for Colin, our cartoonist tonight, they would actually be brilliant for you. I don't actually teach those through the chamber yet, but again, if there's an appetite for it, just let us know. And if we, if we can gather a big enough group, then possibly it's something that I could do in future for you. I'm just going through your comments now, if I missed anything. Okay, Louise is saying that webinars are a great idea. I agree with you, Louise. I've been pushing to do them for ages, because I know just from the people who are on this webinar right now that we're all over the county, which is fabulous. Right, Mick, the plugin for WordPress, get a plugin, and it goes into your widgets area on WordPress. I'm going to talk about that in 3 weeks' time when I talk about WordPress, if you don't know what I mean by that. But a plugin will allow you to create that Facebook link in the widgets area. So for WordPress, if I were you, I would just use a WordPress widget. It'll make it easier. If you've got a website, you're going to have to use the iframe code, but you can combine the two. You can actually cut and paste that iframe code and put it into an HTML widget on WordPress. Now I know this is if you don't like technicals, just put your fingers in your ear and go la la la. But I'll demonstrate a lot of that when we do the WordPress session. Thank you, Rosalind, for your comments, and have lovely to see you on here again. Rosalind's just getting started. Fantastic. Rosalind's learned a lot. That's brilliant, and nice to hear from you again, Rosalind. Gwenda's asking how much ads cost. Gwenda, you can set your own budget. This is the beauty about Facebook ads, is that you're not going to lose the shirt off your back. I talk to a lot of people who use Google ads, and a shiver runs down my spine when they tell me how much money they've spent, and often had very little response from it. On Facebook Power Editor and on Boosting Ads, you completely set the budget. So if you want to spend a £5, that's how much you spend. Now sometimes Facebook will say to you, actually your budget's a little bit too small, but you can literally spend 10 quid on Facebook ads and you will get a response. To be honest with you, it's best practice. When you're using Power Editor and you're experimenting with adverts, it's best practice to only spend a couple of quid a day while you're learning which adverts are working well and which adverts aren't working well. I would never, ever, ever advise you to go in there spending 100 quid on your adverts. You should always do it little by little by little. And then when you've got an advert that works and does what we call convert, when it's really doing what you want it to do, that's the time to start spending money. Because when you get an ad that works, it's a cash machine. Because you know that I can spend 10 quid and make 100 quid, that then becomes a cash machine. And those are the kind of ads that we're looking for. Just going through, I'm hoping I'm not missing anything here. Colin says, can we pester the Chamber for a Facebook advertising day? You certainly can, Colin. Can't guarantee whether you'll get one. I'm doing training through Leslie Robinson. I do it through BSIS. I could do Growth Hub training as well, and also I could do training through Catherine, through her projects. There's many ways that I can deliver training, but the best thing is generally to contact the Chamber and to ask if there is any training available. I know, for instance, at the moment I'm doing two WordPress sessions for the Chamber, and they fill up the minute we open them, and so I think that's a very popular one. Emma is saying we are a not-for-profit organisation, but we sell our own coffee brand. Should our coffee sales be on a separate page? That's interesting, Emma. My preference always on social media is simplicity. It's simplicity. So I think it's an interesting one, and what I always say is you know your business best. But I prefer to have fewer pages. Actually, as Digital Development Manager with the Chamber, I'm doing a lot of work with the Chamber at the moment on this. And one of the things I'm recommending is, I'm saying we've got too many pages. We need to reduce them because otherwise you get scattergun. It's too scattergun. So I always prefer fewer rather than more. So I think that presumably the coffee is part of what you do for the non-profit organisation, but it's presumably that then goes into running the organisation. It's part of what keeps the organisation ticking. So you've got kind of two messages there. You've got the work of the not-for-profit organisation. You've got the coffee. I think there are two messages there. You're talking about the work that you do, and you're talking about the kind of coffee that you sell. I think if you feel that the two run together, that the coffee funds or helps to fund the homeless hostel, then I think that's a comfortable relationship. But if they're completely separate businesses, a completely separate brand, then you might want to separate those off, because clearly the marketing messages are going to be easier for you. But my preference always is keep it simple, because the truth is the more pages you've got to manage, the more confused you're going to be, and the less you're going to like social media. We then get into social media time management, which is another course that I teach, because when you've got lots of social media profiles, you're then your head's going to start spinning around, and you're not going to know, you're not going to have the time to do it. So I always think fewer is better. Fewer's better with that. Now I'm just going to skip to the end here. We have to wind up, I think, by 8:30 at the latest. They are the same brand, Emma's saying. Okay, so I think I would say try and keep it simple. Keep it simple all the time, Emma. I much prefer simplicity online. Thank you for your feedback. Hello, Gwenda. Thank you. You're involved in Borderlines. Thank you. And hopefully we'll be back at Borderlines again today, which will be fantastic. Liz is saying, I just clicked an ad and Facebook wants to take £336 off me. No, they don't, Liz. You need to just change the settings. They might be suggesting £336, but that probably means that you've got a big audience. It probably means you're doing it over a long time period, and you will be able to reduce that budget. You will always be able to reduce that budget. Okay? Facebook will never take cash off you that you haven't agreed to spend. You are completely in control of the budget on Facebook, and you must absolutely make sure that that you're spending small budgets. Gwenda says £5 on 2 days or £10 for 5? £10 for 5, Gwenda. Facebook will say to you sometimes, it always depends on your audience, but Facebook might say to you, actually, you're not spending enough for us to show the adverts. So it might suggest 14 quid. It might just knock it up a little bit extra. But generally, what I would suggest to you is 2 days isn't enough, because if you think about it, Facebook's very clever, I think, the way it puts ads in your news feed. If Facebook put wall-to-wall adverts in your feed, you would very quickly leave Facebook. You'd get fed up with it. So what Facebook has to do is, it's got loads of people paying for advertising. It has to very carefully just drip them through your feed so that you're not constantly seeing adverts. And actually, the great thing about Facebook is you should only be seeing adverts that are relevant to you if people are targeting correctly, because they should have chosen you by demographic or because you're already connected to them. So you shouldn't be seeing ads on Facebook that have no resonance with you, because if you are, someone's spending money on ads and they're wasting it because they haven't targeted you correctly. So what I would say, Gwenda, is the best thing to do is generally run your ads over a period of 5 or 7 days, because frankly you're not getting enough data or information to know whether that ad is working if you don't. So don't generally do it for a day for 2 quid. If you can, and I know people are on different budgets here, run it over 5 days or a week, because then there's all sorts of things that affect this. Demographics do. You might find that your audience is not online at 9 o'clock in the morning, but they're always online at 9 o'clock at night. Or you might find that your audience is around at a weekend, but they're not around during the day. You have to find that stuff out. There's always an element of testing here. So I would always say spend on a couple of days. That's always a good thing to do. What else have we got? Liz has said, do we need to turn off ad blocker to do Facebook adverts? I don't think you'll need to turn off ad blocker, Liz, to do Facebook adverts, but probably to see them, you might need to turn it off. Now, I always get a bit strict at this point, because I always say to people, if you're thinking of marketing online, you need to turn off the ad blocker, because you need to get the right mindset with this. If you're seeing other people's ads, that exposes you to the best practice in marketing. Now, I know you might say, oh, ads are annoying, but if people are targeting you correctly, they should be targeting you by your interests. Now, I learned about retargeting. Retargeting is where people follow you around the web, because I keep the advert switch on. I saw people doing clever things. I thought, how are you doing that, and how can I learn from that? The other thing that I would encourage you to do is, if you see adverts that you like and they catch your attention, take a screenshot of them and save them in a folder, because if it caught your attention, there might be something that you can learn from that. So I always say to people, if you're working online, turn off the ad blocker and learn from people. Have a mindset of wanting to learn from best practice, rather than saying these ads are annoying. Say, what can I do in my business to learn from those? Because if you turn ad blocker on, you're going to be missing best practice, unfortunately. Okay, I'm just looking at the comments here. Thank you, Chrissy. Chrissy needed this 10 months ago. Sorry we're 10 months late, Chrissy. Sorry about that. I think we are there. Liz, Facebook targeting probably isn't hopeless. I don't know. I can't remember if you've been to a session or not, but it's very unlikely that it's hopeless. I mean, I've been in sessions with people who have the most obscure businesses. I mean, really, really obscure businesses. And I always say, challenge me, and we'll find your audience. I've never found an audience yet that we couldn't go for. So we can always find audiences on Facebook. Now, let me qualify that. If you're boosting posts, you will find post boosting very, very limited on the target, on the audience that you can target. If you're using Power Editor, it is a thing of great beauty. If you've ever heard me wax lyrical about Power Editor, you really need to take the time and trouble to learn Power Editor, because that's where that's the jewel in the crown for Facebook. That's the one you need to know, because unfortunately, post boosting is very limited. It works for some people in some businesses, but it's not the best way to do it. Power Editor is beautiful. Particularly if you've got a list of customers' emails, you absolutely need to find out about Power Editor. Really, really fantastic. Nigel's saying, where do you find about Power Editor? You have to wait for my next training session, unfortunately, Nigel, to learn about it. It might be time for us to run another one. Again, if we get enough feedback on this, if enough people sort of email and say we need a Power Editor session, I'll see if I can get permission from the Chamber, and we'll see about holding these webinars more regularly. These are pilots, these webinars. So we're doing a pilot, see how many people turn up to the webinars. and then hopefully it will help us to build interest with these. If you find it useful, let us know. Liz has got advertising down to 32. That's better, Liz. See, it all depends. I have to kind of see it really, because it all depends. Because if you're doing that through promoting posts, it might be that your audience frankly isn't good enough, and you might need to look at Power Editor and sort of doing it a little bit better. £32 is a little bit high, I think, to start off, but that again, it depends. Are you doing it over a week? Is that for a week for your audience? That's probably not so bad over a week. Yeah, Power Editor. There's a lot of interest in Power Editor. Yeah. Okay, look, I'm going to wind it up there because it is virtually 8:30. Thank you very much for joining us on the webinar today. If you did enjoy it, please send your feedback. Register for next week's webinar. I'm going to make them as handy as possible for people who are experienced as well. I'm always going to try and throw some tips in for people who know what they're doing already, as hopefully I have done today. And also make sure there's plenty for people who've never used it before. So I'm trying to get a very mixed audience with this, but hopefully it's very useful for you. And please do connect with us on social media. And I will be back same time, same place next week, where we'll be talking all about Twitter. And I'll be showing all sorts of fabulous things you can do on Twitter. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. I really appreciate you being here, taking the time and trouble to spend with me this evening. I hope it's been useful for you. The replay's coming out within 24 hours, and the slides will come out. Loads more information, by the way, on slides. I've put loads of extra information on the slides because we just don't have time for it this evening, but I hope that's been really useful for you. Please send me your feedback if you've enjoyed it tonight, and hopefully I'll see you on the webinar, same time, same place, next week. Have a very good evening.